Vice Guide to Iran. Didn't even finish seeing it yet. I saw it like fresh, like came out a few days ago. Like I watched it on YouTube, watching it. Like I've made a serious conclusion. It's a culturally offensive piece of journalism. All journalists are responsible for their work. Vice is a company that's made great things like for many years, and there have been controversial pieces of journalism, perhaps, or maybe didn't give like a good enough perspective. The issue with such a sensitive location and people who are so serious and dedicated to religion in facets that cannot be fully understood without gaining perspective is irresponsible journalism, especially during a time when there are so many sensitive issues and a really serious counter so-called Western opinion based on a number of factors that are all widely, of course, not confronted or addressed and built as like parameters for a kind of mutual understanding as to like why there is kind of like a major Arab program, if you will, defense program against Jewish interests that seem to fuel a great deal of like anti-Muslim like propaganda and initiatives across the world. Like it's a really serious thing, and like Christians getting involved in this is a major problem. Like I'm a Christian seeing this, like I have to remind myself, speak to like the owners of Vice whom I know, and they acquired Vice, and it's not like Vice has like a secret agenda or like underground agenda. Like they may not even like take this piece of journalism down. Uh, they may make kind of a feeble kind of like addendum about like the perspectives in the past and the issues and certain statements that were made that were completely off center in terms of like journalistic integrity, respect, and honor, and stoking flames of cultural animosity and mutual oppression on both faith and like a future of like peoples. This is a major issue. I'm disturbed. Like I don't get sensitive opinions. I don't want to get involved in politics. I always say industry infrastructure. When like I see kind of like things that are just like when I see things that are borderline propagandic. That's not the word that people use, I guess. But when I see things that are borderline propagandic in such sensitive zones, I'm like using the word zone a lot. It might just become a word we use now, zone. When I'm sorry to be like this very serious statement, but like when I see like um, work that qualifies as near propaganda, some may even say it is. Like I bet you a lot of lawyers would, because it depends on your perspective. It's just like I'm not saying people should have an open mind, but the unfortunate thing is the consumers, and we call them consumers even if they consume news media, because like advertising, subscription, all kinds of stuff, like these things follow a model, and then we evaluate, what consumers want and need and what they respond to. I think that like you don't have to be someone who's very advanced to want to know like the truth and different sides and like XYZ, it's a large issue and stuff, and to build it out and to get perspective, it's like a movie in terms of length. There's lots of little, snippy, snappy kind of things lawyers and executives and managers can say. All I'm going to tell you is that whatever amount of time you have, I mean, however you present something, you present it a certain way. I'm like a little more than halfway through this thing. Like, I don't get involved in these kinds of conversations. I guess, like, luckily enough, I do know the owners of Vice. So, personally, it's like, that's cool. Like, I have that personal connection. Like, I could make, like, this thing improve, and I could encourage a better dialogue from Western media to non-Western media, maybe not even including, the Arabian Peninsula and Middle Eastern, like, cultures. Like, I don't even think there is a need befitting, like, any other need other than, like, your kind of apology and, like, frank, like, stupidity, like, that would gain like that kind of acknowledgement on like cooperation, this is a really serious thing. Like, um, you know, I think that Iran deserves like some sort of initiative, like that's economic, from like major American companies that support Vice and like people like Vice. Like, I don't have a close enough association with the owners of Vice and family, like close friends that are currently close, to be attached to that. But if I did, like, I would have to be a part of that myself. Like, it's a really serious thing. Like, when I gain more business and I do work and connect and deal with you guys, like in the future, like there's gonna have to be something that gets resolved, like on like a 9-figure scale. Like, I'm not even joking. It's really fucked up. You guys are fucking idiots and losers, I guess. Oh well, let these fucking little spinsters fucking spin their fucking mouths and do whatever the fuck they want in the world, huh? It's funny like that. Oh well.